Hey guys, Jesse Dombrowiak here, co-founder at Indie Source. I'm going to give you some quick tips about the Magic Trade Show in Las Vegas. It's one of the largest apparel trade shows in the world. Around 70,000 people come, and it started in 1993, and it's confusingly named Magic, which stands for Men's Apparel Guild in California. You can download the app and it has tons of goodies in there, but I'm going to run through some of the departments and then give you some advice. So there's WWD, Women's Wear Daily. There's the Tents, which is more luxury menswear. There's Children's Play. There's Platform, which is shoes. There's Curve. There's Stitch, which is more ready to wear. There's a swimwear section, and there's a sourcing section, right, which has a lot of the vendors and fabric places. Finally, there's the Pool Trade Show, which is for a lot of up-and-coming brands, and they have a cash and carry section. So in my opinion, most brands should start at the Pool Trade Show if you're even going to go to Magic, because I think the price point of the exhibiting booth is less than the other ones. And don't forget about all the seminars. There's packed full of great advice and from industry top leaders speaking. You know, some of the takeaways, right? Normally the booths cost around $10,000 for WWD. There's also little sub shows called Tents, which is mainly men's. It's called the Tents. And then there is a men's apparel section as well. And so, you know, normally the booth costs around $10,000, which is a pretty steep entry-level price, right? And so to make that back, they suggest that you go to the show around 3 times before you're going to get your return on investment. From my experience, I've been able to overcome that a little bit quicker by being very proactive in the booth, right? So what you would want to do is engage the people walking past you. Don't just sit in the booth, don't just hang out, just waiting for them to come in. You need to activate people. So as you see people walking by, you can kind of identify whether they're a buyer or just someone else by their wristbands now. They changed over from, you know, lanyards to wristbands, and the black wristband means that they're a buyer. And so if you see someone walking around that it's normally great to engage them. Hey, how you're doing? Please, why don't you take a look at my product? I'm in XYZ category, and you know, we'd love to show you around. So that is one of the tricks. Another thing I love to do is figure out a stunt. So one year we were working with a Peruvian brand, and we were able to not only wear the clothes, but I was walking around with a djembe, beating the drum, getting some attention, and then having people touch my fabric was one of the tricks employees, and then bringing them back to the booth, grabbing them, holding them, walking them back to the booth, and showing them what we had to offer was pretty successful. So just don't be sitting there, be proactive, get out there and you know, create some relationships. In my opinion, it's great for brands to start at the Pool Trade Show. Not only is it cash and carry, so you can sell some of your products, but the exhibiting price is normally around $2,000 to $3,000 versus $10,000, which would be at the other shows. So consider that, but also before you even jump in, make sure it's the right audience for you, make sure you're ready for wholesale, and I would also consider other trade shows and other cheaper ones to get into. The Pool Trade Show, right? So I believe it's a less of a price point to enter, and it's for more of the startup brands, but you're going to be with, you know, accessories, and it's kind of like a hodgepodge of different you know, brands, sunglasses, accessories, and, you know, screen printed t-shirts or things like that. And so that, I believe that trade show is around $2,000 to $3,000. And please know that you can negotiate with your sales rep from Magic. So the prices aren't just fixed from there, and you can kind of ask for a discount. And so you might as well ask, right? Now, starting at Pool is advised, but overall, Magic Trade Show is not, you know, for everyone, right? Sometimes that price point is too high, and there are a lot of other options. There's a trade show called Agenda or Liberty Fairs that happens at the same time, so that's something you could consider to see if that's the right audience for your brand, as well as, you know, we've seen people who have success going to the, what was it? It's like a Western, the WWR, which is like the Worldwide like Rodeo Association, and you would never think that, but this brand was a more of a like a tattoo-y type t-shirt brand, and for some reason they had a lightweight Western feel, and they did really, really well at this rodeo trade show because there was low competition. It was a cheap price point, you know, maybe around $500 to $1,000 entry fee to be an exhibitor, and they sold thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So, you know, in my opinion, I would try to find the low-hanging fruit first as you build your brand. I think you should consider these odd type somewhat related industry trade shows, and then starting at Pool would be my first suggestion, as you build your relationships and build a lot of things. One final thing is Pool is also a cash and carry event, and so bring some product, make sure you can sell some items, you know, to individual consumers versus wholesale only, which I think is an advantage, especially to get some of that cash flow happening for your brand. As IndieSource, we go to these types of trade shows to expand our vendor library. So I'll look for sustainable companies or ethical companies that provide different fabrics, recycled polyesters, organic cottons, plant-based fabrics, and new technologies. So because we're made in the USA primarily, we're looking for automation, we're looking for new techniques, we're looking for digital assets, and one of the main things I noticed was that we can do these new avatar fittings, so digital avatar fittings, which may help reduce the amount of sampling we have to do to just one round or none. I'm going to offer a few tips for networking. One, always have your business cards. Two, be ready to use better language than you're used to, right? So in our case, when someone asks, what business are we in? I could say I'm an apparel manufacturer. But what's a little bit better is if you tell them what effect you have on our clients. So in this case, we are here to help others create successful, sustainable, and ethical fashion companies. That's what we're going for. And that piques their interest just a little bit more, so then you can start having more conversation. So like in the other way, if I said, oh, I'm an apparel manufacturer, the conversations kind of end. There may not be any more follow-up questions. Be excited about the projects you're working on, and you'll get a lot of success. One of the major features that we found at Magic Las Vegas that was very exciting is from TUCATEC. TUCATEC is a software company that primarily does pattern making, digital pattern making software, but they also have expanded into an automated factory. They called it a micro factory, where some of the cut pieces of fabric will get brought around automatically to the sewers at their different operation stations. We actually do have a video of this, and that was one portion that I was excited about, is how to eliminate waste of people transporting some of the cut goods and getting more needle to fabric, which is value add time. Secondly, the thing that I'm most excited about was the fact that there are digital avatar fittings that you can happen within your pattern making software. So what would happen is we would create our first two-dimensional patterns, and then we can get the specs from some of our clients and build a digital avatar, and then test these two-dimensional patterns on a three-dimensional avatar. So they will wrap around and they will do a fit test, and then they actually have a motion feature where the avatar will move, and they will show a heat map of where the stress is within the patterns, within the fabrics, on the body, right? From there, you can make some modifications without ever having to cut and sew a sample to test. And the goal is hopefully that it will reduce the amount of rounds of sampling that we have to do before we get an approval, before we can go into production. In summary, I believe Magic is not for everyone. I think it's a super expensive trade show, and that you would have to make sure that you're going to overcome that initial investment to make sure that you're going to get your return, right? So like I said, sometimes going to Pool around the $3,000 mark makes sense. Going to the other shows can be around $10,000, but in my experience, there's tons of other trade shows that are around the $500 to $1,000 mark to become an exhibitor, and you would just want to make sure that you can line up and give yourself as much advantage as possible when you go there, right? So that's my takeaway. That's my advice for today, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.